Welcome to episode 9 of my 2023 training diaries from Annecy, France. We spent 10 days here last year and we loved it so much that we decided to come back this year for 2 weeks so that we could catch up on a little work and relax in between adventures. But we still managed to get out on the trails, including a summit of La Tournette, which is one of the more popular routes in the area for a good reason. I didn't shoot much other B-roll, but definitely watch our episode from last year, which I'll link to below, for a look at Annecy's medieval old town and its canals, as well as its centerpiece and main attraction, the crystal clear and warm lake. We stopped off in Lausanne on our way back to Geneva to drop off our rental car to visit my friend Julien, who I met years ago during Tournette. Lausanne is a beautiful city right across the lake from Geneva that is definitely worth a visit. And be sure to leave time for the Olympic Museum while you're there. And thanks to our friend and fellow YouTuber Raphael, who picked us up from Geneva and drove us here so that we could catch up over dinner. Julien and his partner Elvie then ended up coming to visit us in Annecy the following weekend for a run and a swim. You might remember from my episode about our time in Annecy from last year that we swam in the lake pretty much every day, and this time has been no different. But unlike last year when we got rained out while attempting to summit La Tournette, this time we had perfect weather.
Nous sommes à Les Granges. Catch a second bus. It feels like déjà vu.
So it's a beautiful Saturday morning and we are in Les Granges, which is just outside of Annecy, and we are on our way up to La Tournette. You might remember this from last year, from an episode of my training diaries around the same time last year. We tried to do La Tournette, but we got turned around by thunder showers. But today, we're expecting blue skies, no thunder showers in the forecast, so we should have better luck. And you might also remember that this is actually one of the climbs on the Tour de France. And the Tour de France was actually here just last weekend on Sunday. Unfortunately, we missed it by a day. We arrived on Monday. How cool would it have been to have been able to see a stage of the Tour de France? But sadly, we were still in Switzerland on our way back from Audrey's race. But maybe one day we'll catch it. So we're gonna take the bus basically up the route that the cyclists take during the Tour de France. And a fellow Canadian named Gab is joining us. He lives here in Annecy. He works at Solomon. So we're gonna meet him at Montmet and then do a loop from there. About 13 kilometers with about 1,300 meters of elevation gain.
After COVID, we wanted to get a little bit some freedom, so we decided to hike the PCT on the west coast. The PCT was kind of a transition for us to get some change. We wanted to get closer to family in Europe. At the same time, we still kind of want to be close to the outdoors. So Annecy seems like the right place. There's the lake, the mountains around. It's a very dynamic town. People love doing running, sports, and we get to meet Jeff.
Yeah. Wow.
So over there, one of the tallest mountains you see is called La Sambouille. And in the summer, so it's a ski place in the winter, and in the summer you can take a chairlift which brings you to 1,500, and there's some beautiful ridges.
Yeah, it looks nice.
You can see some of the ski hills.
Yeah. And those mountains is called the Massif des Bauges, so it's kind of one of the mountain chains.
Okay.
It's a lower one, but there's 14 2,000 peaks.
Wow.
So, and there's a kind of a challenge which you can do like all the 14ers, similar to like the 8,000, you know, the 14. And people do it like in 2 or 3 days, but it's a crazy elevation gain and drop. It doesn't look too much like the Alps because it's much more wild. There's not a lot of like towns and stuff, so it's a cool place.
Very
cool.
Sort of a gate, I guess.
So we've just finished our approach and have begun the climb. The trail's already quite busy. Lots of people coming down, who I suspect all parked just below here. There's a parking lot quite close to where we just started. If we had a car, we would have started there, but we had to take the bus from below, from Montmet. And just below me is also the refuge where we stopped and took shelter last year when we got turned around here by the thunder showers. So quite a nice spot to end your hike with an espresso and a croissant. This limestone erosion here is quite cool.
Bunch of ibex over there, chilling, watching us. It's cool.
Kind of a ridge, I don't know how it's called, but the mountain club in Annecy, they organized some trips and you can kind of hike and climb this ridge.
Yeah.
It's on the bucket list. Really want to do it.
Yeah, we're realizing that we made the right choice last year, not just because of the lightning and you wouldn't want to be at the highest point in Annecy during a lightning storm, but also because this limestone would be super slick in the rain as well. We have reached a bit of a bottleneck here. That's okay, we're in no rush. Cool.
And up here on that rock. From here, it doesn't look like we can. Okay, made it up alive. Just gotta get down.
La Tournette.
Good job! Yes sir! Good stuff, Jeff!
So we're now making our way around the side of La Tournette, and we're going to take a different route down to close out the loop back to Montmet. How's it feel?
My quads were not ready for this.
Just a week out from the race, I don't blame you.
Yeah, and yeah, my foot is a little sore right now.
But not too bad.
Not too bad, like just enough to be annoying.
Yeah. So Audrey's foot is feeling much better. She took a few days completely off after the Eiger Trail 100K and has been very slowly easing back into hiking and running. That run up to La Tournette was her longest effort, and it felt okay, and it's been feeling better by the day. So she's definitely confident in her decision to have dropped from the race in order to save the rest of her season, which it looks like she's managed to do. Our friends Ben and Sarah also paid us a visit while they were in the country, training for UTMB. So we went for a hike up to a viewpoint overlooking the city on Mont Verrier.
We've been here for about 4 weeks now, and yeah, we came for Sarah to do a race in Courmayeur, and now stayed on to get ready for UTMB.
Coming up soon. How's your training going?
I'm pretty happy with it so far.
Yeah.
No injuries, which is always the main highlight. And this week we'll top out at 9,000 meters of climbing, so
Nice.
it's not bad for a week's work, and feeling a lot more prepared than I was last year. So working on nutrition, and yeah, starting to believe I can get a finish just like you.
So amazing, isn't it?
So that is La Tournette up there where we were on the weekends. If you want to see the other runs that I did here in Annecy for route ideas, like my long run this weekend along the ridge on the other side of the lake, then check out my Strava as usual. I also had a chance to once again visit the Salomon Design Center, Salomon's global head offices here in Annecy, to talk shop and give some product feedback, and to check out the new brand store there. This one is open to the public and replaces what was previously just for employees. And it's pretty cool to see Salomon's entire product lineup in one location. So be sure to pay them a visit if you're ever in town. And I want to give a quick shout out to Likey here as well. I managed to break a poll during the Bogram round a few weeks ago, and I heard that they had a service center in Interlaken in Switzerland. So we stopped there on our way to France after Audrey's race. And they fixed my pole by replacing the bottom section in a matter of 10 minutes while we waited. No questions asked and completely free of charge. And this wasn't because I was an influencer or anything. And I wasn't feeling great about Likey since they had previously denied my warranty request for a pole that I broke during UTMB, but this did renew my faith in the brand. Now, having said that, I'd probably recommend the regular Ultra Trail FX1 model over the FX1 Superlight that I've been using. They're more durable and really not much heavier. And even Likey will tell you that the FX1 are made for training, while the Superlights should really only be used for racing. But I'm not sure that the Superlight model is worth it for anyone other than a professional athlete who can probably afford to replace them once or more a season, because they're really not very durable. But you've gotta love the glove system that Likey uses. I finally finished the last of the films that I had backlogged still from 2022, from our adventure running a 62-kilometer loop around Grand Teton National Park. So check out that film on my channel if you haven't already. And as always, you can subscribe to my newsletter to be the first to be notified of new videos. By the time that you see this, we'll have actually left Annecy to return to Chamonix, where we'll be meeting up with our group to begin our 6-day fast pack of the Tour de Mont Blanc in partnership with Vagabond Trails. We can't wait to get back on the TMB. So in the next episode, I'll bring you footage from that adventure, which will be a little bit different than our previous TMB film, since we'll be following a completely different itinerary and staying in different refuges. So stay tuned for all of that in the next episode coming to you in mid-August.